Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
Cowboys Jerry Jones puts NFL refs on blast for restricting Micah Parsons. Jerry Jones is fed up with how NFL officials are handling Dallas Cowboys star edge rusher Micah Parsons. Parsons has repeatedly made it clear that he believes he is frequently being held as officials leave their penalty flags in their pockets and don't blow the whistle. Jones agrees and took aim at the refs during his weekly appearance on 105.3 FM The Fan. "I don't think the intent is to take a player of his skill and limit him," Jones said. "He gets officiated, not differently, but most players that don't get those holds, where Micah doesn't get them, couldn't get to the quarterback. Micah can, therefore it is restricting to him." Meanwhile, Parsons was flagged for a controversial roughing the passer penalty in the latter stages of the Cowboys' Christmas Eve loss to the Miami Dolphins, a call that he took exception to after the game. "The ref said my intent was to punish the quarterback," Parsons said post-game. "How am I trying to punish him if I'm just trying to sack him? It's not like it was a late hit. It's not like I'm leaving my feet. I didn't lead with my head. I don't know how you make that call." Parsons has already produced 13 sacks this season, along with 97 total quarterback pressures, bolstering his status as one of the game's most disruptive pass rushers. However, as the Dallas Morning News points out, Parsons hasn't drawn a holding flag since mid-October. "They won't call a holding penalty in a certain range of holding," Jones added. "Usually if they don't think the player would have gotten to the quarterback to begin with. That doesn't work for Parsons because he's about to get there almost all the time. Anything that just limits him should be a hold." Micah Parsons approaching career high in sacks. With 2 regular season games remaining, Parsons can post a new career high in sacks. Back in 2022, Parsons logged 13.5 sacks and can surpass that total over the Cowboys' final 2 games against the Detroit Lions and Washington Commanders. Both contests could prove critical to Dallas' seeding in the NFC playoffs. Parsons' success is powered by Parsons' league-best 38% pass rush win rate, according to ESPN, despite drawing double teams on a league-high 30% of snaps. Lions QB Jared Goff has plenty of respect for Micah Parsons. Saturday night, the Cowboys will host the Detroit Lions in a game that is pivotal to both teams' flickering hopes of finishing the season as the number 1 seed in the NFC. Lions quarterback Jared Goff enters Week 17 having passed for 3,984 yards with 27 touchdowns, 10 interceptions and a 98.3 passer rating, while leading Detroit to its first division crown since 1993. But Goff knows that for the Lions' offense to have success inside AT&T Stadium, it starts with keeping Parsons out of the backfield. "He's a dangerous player," Goff told reporters. "Their advantage with him is that they can move him around. They do a bunch of stuff with him. He can do a hell of a lot and we've got to be aware of where he's at." Goff and the Lions aim for a 3rd consecutive victory, and to avenge a 24-7 loss to the Cowboys, back in 2022. Dallas Cowboys projected to add Detroit Lions offensive lineman in 2024. The Dallas Cowboys are facing a dilemma in 2024. With the team set to go over the salary cap next season, they will need to find cost-effective ways to stay competitive. But how can they do that? Well, they can start by finding quality free agents that don't cost too much. Dallas' offensive line is projected to be one key area to be greatly affected by their salary cap limitations come 2024. With left tackle Tyron Smith and center Tyler Biadasz set to become free agents, the Cowboys will have to find potential replacements that could be significant contributors that are still relatively cheap. Having said that, Detroit Lions offensive lineman Graham Glasgow could be a good fit for the Cowboys, according to the free agency suggestion made by Bleacher Report. Glasgow is making $2.75 million with the Lions this 2023, and he should be a nice choice since he's coming from one of the better offenses in the league. Jerry Jones might be looking for some interior offensive linemen in free agency, and cost-effective ones at that. Glasgow could be a good target seeing as he's played both guard spots and center throughout his career. He'll be 32 years old next season and is currently on a 1-year, $2.75 million contract. so the price could be right for the Cowboys, the BR article explained. It's unknown if the Dallas Cowboys will actually have eyes on Graham Glasgow, especially since the O-line could not be their top priority in the offseason. But if they do aim to address that area, they should know where to look. Former number 3 pick now on Cowboys roster bubble for 2024, expert. For the Cowboys, the trade that brought former 49ers first-round pick Trey Lance, the number 3 overall choice in 2021, to Dallas in the offseason remains an odd one. Not only has Lance not taken a snap for the team all season, but he has remained firmly ensconced as the number 3 on the depth chart, behind starter Dak Prescott and backup Cooper Rush, who has made 6 appearances mopping up for Prescott this year. Lance is so far off the radar that he barely came up in Cowboys rumors at the trade deadline. Lance is 23 years old, in his 3rd NFL season, and needs to get on the field. He has thrown just 56 NFL passes in 8 career appearances. This has been, essentially, a wasted year in Lance's development. Now, the Cowboys, after having coughed up a 4th-round pick for Lance in August, are going to have to make a choice about whether to keep him around or not. According to the contract website Spotrac, Lance is very much on the roster bubble for the Cowboys in 2024. As NFL contract expert Mike Ginnitti wrote, all of Trey Lance's $5.3 million salary for 2024 is fully guaranteed. It's hard to imagine he's tradable, again, so Dallas either makes him an above-average paid QB2 next season, or pays him to leave. Keeping Trey Lance would waste cap space. These are not appetizing options for the Cowboys. They could keep Rush on board as the backup, with an option for 1 year and $2.25 million. That's a much cheaper way to go than cutting Rush loose and bumping Lance up to number 2, and it's also the choice that encourages more stability. Rush has been with the Cowboys for 10 of his 12 NFL seasons. But keeping Rush means jettisoning Lance. And that means paying him $5.3 million and losing the 2024 4th-rounder for a player who did absolutely nothing for the franchise all season. The Cowboys could seek to trade him again, but he will not have been on an NFL field for nearly 2 years when the 2024 season opens. As Ginnitti notes, no one is going to want to give up assets for Trey Lance in that case. Back in October, SI.com's Mike Fisher reported on the Cowboys rumors that suggested the team does intend to keep Lance in place. The Cowboys, 2 sources tell CowboysSI.com, do not plan to exercise the 5th-year option on Lance in the spring of 2025, as that would cost about $25 million. But do plan on finding a way to keep him in Dallas, Fisher wrote. Cowboys rumors will focus on Dak Prescott. In the summer, back when the Cowboys made the surprising deal for Lance, the theory was that he could be used as a bargaining chip when the team sat down to work out a new deal with Prescott, who was due a sizable contract extension. The thinking was that the Cowboys could claim confidence in Lance as their quarterback of the future and, therefore, not be pressured to overpay Prescott. That approach has unraveled, though, as Prescott has had, despite some rough outings in the past 2 weeks, an MVP-caliber season. The Cowboys will have to pay Prescott handsomely, and neither Prescott's reps nor any other sentient being with even a mild grasp of football would buy the notion that the Cowboys would dump Prescott for Trey Lance. Prescott is not going anywhere, and Rush is unlikely to go anywhere, either. If anyone leaves, it is Lance, who now is firmly on the roster bubble.